What's up?
Great. Well, we welcome you on the PWE report and hope you're doing well. We'll welcome you back to the Windy City of Chicago. And we're welcoming Joe Dombrowski to the Pro Wrestling Enforcer. Make sure to check him out. He'll be there on hand for calling the action Saturday night for MLW Azteca Lucha. And he's a commentator and personality to the PWE report that we're having on. You can also check out his work for various other promotions. He was also with Warrior Wrestling, another Chicago promotion as well. And we appreciate you being on the show, Joe. Are you calling any other promotions for besides Warrior currently that was in the
Um,
area?
well, I mean, I've had a great relationship with Chicago wrestling for a long time. Most recently I was out there in the area for Dreamwave Wrestling.
Yes,
I have history, of course, with Warrior. I have history, of course, with AAW. Positive history, nothing but good things to speak of. Um, I was out in Illinois the other week for Juggalo Championship Wrestling and Violent J. Um, and of course, MLW is a great stronghold in Chicago as well. Cicero Stadium. The Lucha fans obviously are so passionate out there, and they always come out strong. So, Chicago is one of the best wrestling cities in the whole world, and I've been very fortunate to experience it in a number of different environments out there.
definitely. When the MLW comes to Chicago, it's got more of the lucha libre feel. Talk about that, kind of like embracing the Hispanic heritage, kind of the surrounding areas embrace. And we bring as a show like MLW Azteca Lucha, which is really putting the lucha libre first and foremost of the product.
Yeah, well, one of the great things, everybody talks about forbidden doors and things of that nature, but the talent exchanges and the relationships uh, throughout professional wrestling now are making it so exciting, and they're making matches and scenarios that you didn't think would be possible now possible, or the chance to see talent in person that maybe you wouldn't get a chance to. And the MLW and CML relationship, I would suggest, is one of the strongest anywhere in pro wrestling, because both sides benefit so much. And you look no further than the past week. And for the past week in Mexico, it's been CMLL versus MLW. There's a brand new uh, CMLL, or excuse me, MLW openweight champion. There are brand new MLW tag team champions, and those titles are now held by CMLL talents and will be defended in Chicago this Saturday. So when you think about Mystico as the middleweight champion for 15 months, unbeaten until Templario was able to pin him in a tag match. Um, that gives you a dynamic, and that gives you a style, and it gives you superstardom that you aren't going to be able to get anywhere else. And Chicago is the perfect place for that because Chicago will embrace it as much as, if not more so, than any other city in the United States. And we've had great lucha fan turnouts in Dallas and in Los Angeles. But as somebody who has worked in Mexico, I think the closest you can get to capturing the true lucha experience that I've seen without going to Mexico is in Chicago.
For sure. We've got people coming in with sound horns and drums and all that fanfare, kind of like a soccer atmosphere, right? Soccer stadium atmosphere.
It is. If there's not at least one vuvuzela in the crowd, it doesn't feel right. And you think of some of the chanting. You think of the tradition of throwing money in the ring after you see an exceptionally great match. These are things that American fans just aren't really privy to or haven't really embraced. But the lucha fans treat it as second nature, and um, obviously there's always been a uh, strong Latino presence in you know, not just the city, but certainly specifically in wrestling as well. When you think about, um, what Gringo Loco's been able to do coming out
Hmm.
of Chicago, when you think about Galley Lucha Libre, when you think about just all the luchadors that have come in and out of every company we've already named that I've worked for. You know, Chicago knows lucha. Chicago respects lucha. And if you want to make your name known doing lucha in this country, you got to make your way through Chicago.
Definitely, for sure. And we've had some great names come through, like Pentagon. We've had, obviously, just great Pentagon, Phoenix, and the list goes on and on. We have Samurai Del Sol, who's a Chicago native as well. So I guess there's just a long list and lineage to choose from there as well. The Park, LA Parka, and his family, have come through.
Yeah, I called some of Samurai Del Sol's probably some of his first matches outside of Chicago. Because he came to work for us in Pittsburgh at IWC, and I think that was on the recommendation of DJZ, Joaquin Wild. So I've known him since he was first branching out and coming up. Um, and then you mentioned Penta and Phoenix, and I think about their history in MLW and the fact that our biggest event every year. We just had our seventh Battle Riot in Los Angeles last month, and Battle Riot's always our biggest event, our most watched event, and it's a catalyst for so many things that spin off of
Hmm.
it. The first two people ever Battle Riot won to draw numbers 1 and 2 were Penta and Ray Phoenix. So um, it's a cool fact that our charter event literally began with straight up lucha libre, and it's only grown and showcased every style ever since. Um, but yeah, the impact's undeniable.
Definitely, we've seen them go on to the WWE and make a big impact over there as well. So pretty
Yeah,
cool, right?
I'm happy for both of them. Always great guys, and I've worked with them in a variety of settings. But they're just two guys that even if you don't understand lucha, even if you're not a fan of lucha per se, you understand their appeal because
Yes.
they're special athletes, and that defies a language barrier or a specific style or cultural region. They're just stars. Bottom line.
Yeah, especially when you see like the tight end of the San Francisco 49ers, George Kittle.
Yep.
He's doing the hand gesture. So there you
Once it
go.
hits mainstream, that's all the
Yeah.
proof you need.
I'd like to talk to you about some of the matches, and a lot of these matches when you first go to MLW shows, they start out pretty quickly.
Hmm.
They start really fast, and it's really tremendous. Like there's no time wasted. It's almost like a movie when you when you put these guys in a ring together. And I think you talk about these opening matches like Los Depredadores versus Blue Panther Jr. and Dark Panther. Maybe the fans aren't familiar with them completely, but once they get in the ring, they're warmed up. It's like they really go quickly, don't they?
Sure, yeah, and that's again the magic of lucha libre is it's so rapid fire and it's so in your face and it's high octane, and Los Depredadores actually are the team I referenced earlier that captured the World Tag Team titles down from Cozimax in Mexico this past week. That's Magnus and Rujido, two luchadors that we've seen individually in MLW a multitude of times. I'm not sure that we've seen them team before. If we have, it certainly wasn't on a regular basis. But now with them as the champions, obviously all that changes. Dark Panther and Blue Panther Jr. Um, their family. They have that bond. They've known each other their whole lives, and that's going to be you know I say it a lot on commentary is when you're teaming with your brother or you're teaming with your family member or you're teaming with whoever.
Mhm.
There's no substitute for that chemistry, and
Yeah.
a lot of what you're going to see, and I talk about it a lot of times. Like a lot of times, um, you have to earn the right to represent your family name. You have to train your ass off, sometimes under a pseudonym, sometimes um, hoping that you'll have the right to carry on the name of Panther or Atlantis or whoever it may be, just because those names are so high revered and highly respected. So there's nobody in this match by accident. There's nobody in this match going through the motions. They're going to go all
Yeah.
out, and the fact that again, like how cool is it that our championships are being defended in Arena Mexico, the most famous professional wrestling venue. You put that up with Cork and Hall and Madison Square Garden.
Mhm.
As wrestling royalty. How cool is it that our championships are defended there? They change hands there. They're revered. They're respected. And Los Depredadores took advantage of it. And let's see. I mean, the pressure's on, right? It's
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's easy to win a title because it's not, but now the work starts because now you got to defend them, and it makes you a target. So I'm looking forward to seeing what all four guys bring out because this is De Predadores' first defense on U.S. soil. So they're going to have a lot to prove to the audience that did not see them down in Mexico City,
Right.
and their opponents are going to be looking to one up that. So I think you're guaranteed a hell of a match and to set the tone for what's going to be a hell of a night. Which, by the way, if you're unaware watching at home, you can see this live and free on the
Yes.
MLW YouTube channel, starting at what is it, 10 Eastern, I think.
Yeah. 10 Eastern, 9 Central.
Yeah, I'll be in Central. That throws me off, But
Yeah.
yeah, so that'll be a great chance to set the tone right, start things off right, and ensure that we're in for a night of hot action.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then we have another tag team match: Atlantis and Esfinge versus Guerrero Maya Jr. and Hechicero.
Yeah, and I don't think that Guerrero Maya Jr. has been showcased very much on our programming, if at all.
Mm-hmm.
Hechicero, Esfinge, and of course Atlantis. You speak of um, somebody who is truly timeless, someone who is truly, um, wrestling royalty in front of you. The way
Yeah.
that, the way that a U.S. fan would appreciate a Ric Flair or a Harley Race or somebody like that. That's how luchadors look at Atlantis, just so revered because of the time he spent and the longevity and how he's looked at as a hero from so many, right? So that's the challenge. It's the intimidation factor of being in there with somebody who is larger than life, and
Yes.
you know, can you make a name for yourself by defeating him or at least hanging with him? Or is he going to show you why he's been so good for so many decades and stay on top of his game? That's the question we'll answer, and that's the fun part of lucha libre because I've never seen better conditioned athletes anywhere in the world in any sport than a
Mm-hmm.
luchador. The fact they can go 20, 30, 40 years and some of the things they do um, defies father time.
Yes.
Respectfully, you see some guys in the United States, and once they get to a certain age or a certain experience level, their feet don't leave the ground. And that's not the case in Lucha Libre. They will
Mm-hmm.
continue to go as hard as they can, as long as they can, and you can't help but respect that.
Oh, definitely. It's going to be an exciting match. Hechicero is going to get some exposure in the U.S. He's made appearances for AEW, I believe, and a
Hmm.
Forbidden Door. So he's growing a following here in the U.S. as well.
No doubt, no doubt, and that's well deserved and it's well earned, and that there's something about him that it's very gravitating and it's very magnetizing, and just the sorcery he can drop in there. He can change the mood, he can change the dynamic at the drop of a hat, and I look at Hechicero as, and this may be a lot of pressure, but I mean, he could be the next in line. He could be the next Mystico. He could be the next true worldwide breakout like a Penta, like a Phoenix, like a Mystico. Um, Time will tell, but I think he's well on his way.
Definitely. We saw Atlantis and Atlantis Junior. They've gotten matches on other shows as well, like Ring of Honor currently. So they've also gotten some good exposure.
No, and I think it's a great thing that you can see CMLL talent pop up in so many different places because the beauty of it is AEW, much like MLW, understands the magnitude of
Mhm.
working with talent of this type of star level, and they get treated right, and they get presented authentically and with respect, and as they should, and that helps everybody. You can see an Atlantis or an Hechicero or a Mystico on one program. Maybe it's your first time seeing him, or
Mhm.
maybe you'd heard of him and seen some clips, but you got a chance to really sit down and zone in, and now you're sold. And now, okay, let me look up more. Where is he appearing
Yes.
next? Oh, he's in Arena Mexico this Friday night, and he's in MLW. What's this MLW thing? I've heard of it, but I haven't seen one of their live shows yet. Let me check it out. And it helps everybody. And similarly with MLW's great relationships with New Japan and Tokyo Joshi Pro. Um, it gives us a chance to see talent that we normally wouldn't see. Shoko Nakajima as the
Mhm.
women's featherweight champion. That's huge, you know,
Yes.
and that's something that wasn't on anybody's radar. And it's not because Shoko's not good enough, obviously. Just because that's something that feels so out of left field. It's something that um, you really maybe you didn't realize that you needed it till you saw it, and once you did, you're glad you had it because now the featherweight division's shaken up and anything can happen.
Definitely. The women's featherweight division is going to be pretty pretty bright with her as the champion.
No doubt.
Yeah, she had a great victory as well. And we can't sleep on all the other women there that have really put in the hard work to get to where they're at. With a
No,
division.
Janai Kai would hurt me if I didn't say nice things about her. Scary
Yes,
person, scary human being.
she, she is as well. Her match, she really dominated at the Battle Riot as well. So she's
No
hungry
doubt.
for,
Yeah, no,
for all
Janai
competition.
Janaya is a meticulous machine, and Delmy is such a fighter with no quit in her. And I'm very proud of the fact that they are kind of the cornerstones of the featherweight division because they both, I mean, I couldn't pick anybody better to fill the roles they fill.
Definitely. And then Alex Hammerstone, when he arrived back in MLW, how did you feel about that? I mean, it seemed like he kind of went over, did some other promotions,
Hmm.
got his name out there, but coming back home to MLW, now he's taking on Satoshi Kojima. How do you feel about his return?
Um, it's huge. I mean, Hammerstone at one time was the franchise player of Major League Wrestling. He held that world title almost longer than anybody. He led this company through uncertain waters. Um, you look at the dedication in his body, the way he eats, the way he trains. Um, he's 24/7 on board.
Yes,
And when I got to MLW, it was Alex Hammerstone, Jacob Fatu,
right.
1A. You know, take your pick which one you want to put on top that day. But they were the two running this ship, and I'm happy that Alex had a chance to play the field and see what else is out there. Um, but sometimes those familiar waters are the best places for you to grow. And I think Hammerstone coming back now creates a opportunity for this generational match where, okay, Kojima is the one that originally put the MLW world title on the map. And then
Mhm.
he came back home and did it again 20 years later. And Hammerstone was kind of the guy holding down the fort in the middle. Um, Not to discredit the Alex Canes and of course
Sure.
all the other champions through the years, Swerve Strickland, list goes on. But Hammerstone and Kojima, it's hard to vision any of them, either of them, not on top. It's hard to picture one kowtowing to the other and
Right.
saying, "All right, you're the man. You run with the ball." Um, because Hammerstone scored touchdown after touchdown after touchdown for us, and Kojima has consistently broken his own records and elevated this brand globally. Um, Both have done great things. The other, maybe can't, and that's why this intrigues me so much because for a very, very rare point in time, Hammerstone and Kojima are both entering this match, and neither one has a title.
Right.
So they're hungry. So they're focused. They have something to prove. They have a chip on their shoulder, but they got to get through the other one to prove their
Hmm.
point. And that's where you're going to have a physical, you're going to have an intense, um, I'll say it, MLW dream match. Because if you're a longtime fan, this is, one era versus another. And no doubt it's the best versus the best. So let them loose and let them start swinging.
Yeah, definitely. They're gonna be swinging for the fences. It's gonna be a barn burner for sure. And
Amen.
you look at the ML Heavyweight Championship, Riddle and Dijak, and how do you feel Riddle has fared so far? Against MSL and Dijak and that faction. The Filthy Bros.
I mean, Riddle's been a great champion, and he's been a great champion first and foremost from a business standpoint. MLW has sold out every single event that we've held since January of 2024, and that's huge because that's it's not just a residency in one building. It's not just um, a tiny television studio. Um, we're talking packing 2-3 thousand fans in coast to coast from literally from New York to Los Angeles and several points in between. So that's a huge plus. And Riddle's been a great champion in the ring as well because he's brought it. He's never phoned it in. Um, and you can say what you want about his personality outside the ring, and maybe he's a little laid back, maybe he's a little bit goofy, and maybe he, likes to joke around a little bit. But in the ring, he's all business, and that's what I've seen. I've seen all
Yeah.
business of Matt Riddle. So I'm happy he's our champion, and I'll be even happier if he can keep that title away from that sweaty, dingy, vile Saint Laurent, um, who has
Yeah.
wanted control of that title for a long time. And don't get me wrong, Dijak's a hoss. Dijak's a beast. Whatever he is, 6'5", 275, whatever.
Mhm.
This guy is an athletic freak of nature. He's a specimen. Um, Good enough to be a world champion, no doubt. Um,
Yeah.
something to prove, no doubt. I think Dijak probably some of the places he's been, uh, he probably thought he did not get the opportunity to prove himself as a world champion, and so Dijak's going to be looking to stand out too. Um, Dijak's going to
Yeah.
have his work cut out for him, um, being a gringo in front of a lucha libre crowd. So he's going to have to work his ass off harder, but he will. Um, and you're going to see an athletic, physical world title match um, between two guys that are going to bring the best out of each other because they're competitors through and through. My heart wants Matt Riddle to keep the title because I don't know what my job looks like if Saint Laurent has that kind of
Hmm.
influence. But I know, I don't think Dijak has been pinned yet in MLW. He has been on a tear. So I think the last time Dijak met Riddle, Riddle won by disqualification, which is the closest Dijak's come to getting beat. But you got to believe something's got to give here. I think if Riddle is going to escape with his title, he's got to find a way to pin Dijak. And the question is there a way to stop him? Because he's disrupted everything time after time. So I'm just looking forward to this collision and see what's going to give.
Has Filthy Tom on his corner. That'll be aiding him as well, right?
Yeah, Filthy Tom has had a great relationship with Matt Riddle, sparring partner. Um, they have a lot of the same personality traits, uh, for, for better or worse. But they have great chemistry there. And the Filthy Bros, I think, is something special. Um,
Yes.
I've never had enough of the Munchies where I put cupcakes on pizza or some of the bizarre things they've done. Um, or that Sistine Chapel design that is I think it's a Sistine Chapel. I got to look back to my Renaissance knowledge, but that artwork that's on sale now at MLW.com on that shirt that they had painted up. Um, but yeah, Riddle and Lawler are kindred spirits, and they get each other. And keep in mind, Saint Laurent, former friend and manager of Lawler, they were thick as thieves for 20 years until
Oh
Saint
wow.
Laurent fired Lawler. Lawler told me that when Lawler was training to wrestle, like Saint Laurent was there.
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't just hyperbole. It's not just not like Saint Laurent and Lawler go back to practically day one in wrestling, and now they're on opposing corners. And if something happens on the outside of the ring, I think my money's on Lawler. Call me crazy.
Yes. Yeah, we also have the arrival of the man known as Corbin, or used to be known as Corbin, Bishop Dwyer,
Yeah,
who is also aligned himself with MSL. So I have to look out to see if he interferes and gets involved.
yeah, dude's got a couple giants on his side. That's the thing is, say what you want about Saint Laurent, and I will say it loudly and often. But dude knows talent, and Bishop Dyer. I don't know what or where he strikes next, but I know we haven't seen the last of him. That's for sure.
Definitely, that's going to be a heck of a match. I mean, people are drawn because they know them from their where they used to perform. But this is going
Sure.
to be a totally different side, and I feel like a no disqualification might be added to this matchup. You never know, right?
Anything can happen when we're live, and we're going to be 100% live. But yeah, to your point, this is going to be handcuffs off. Do what you can do. Be yourself, and show them what you're made of. So I'm excited for it.
Mhm. And we'll get to Mystico, Templario, and Ikoro Kwan. How important is this match for Mystico to once again, retain that championship?
Well, I mean, and I talked about it a bit ago. The fact that Mystico um, got pinned,
Mm-hmm.
pinfall loss for the first time in 15 months in MLW by Templario in a tag team match a couple months back in Atlanta. So Templario has deserved this shot at Mystico one on one. Thought it would be for the middleweight title, but we know that Mystico had that injury a month ago that
Yeah,
postponed the match, and Mystico, being the proud fighting champion that he is, surrendered that title. Didn't want it if he couldn't defend it. Didn't feel like he had earned it and deserved it. And you can agree or disagree with that, but it's admirable. But what's not admirable is Contra and how they feel they run everything and how they feel that they call the shots and there's such a dominant presence
sure.
and they are they are an army insurgency that wants to take over by force. And Akira Kwan missed it. Our president Cesar Duran right in the eyes, stole the middleweight title, and from what I understand, has been doing incredibly down in Mexico for CMLL. Akira Kwan is a very underrated talent. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of people sleep on him because you look at Mads Krul Kruger, you look at Janai Kai, you look at Minoru Suzuki. Like, these are such daunting presences, and very few people compare with them. And Akira Kwan kind of, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, settles into that, um, support role or backup role. But that's not to suggest he's less than. And I think
Right.
the past couple months, he's added a lot of upper body size, he's added a lot of intensity, and we've seen more out of Kwan and what he's capable of. And I think this match, while I'm not the biggest Contra guy, I think this match will be a big coming out for Akira Kwan. Because I think a lot of people, especially a lot of people in Chicago, are going to see this as, oh, great, I love Mystico, and Templar is really talented, and then we got this other guy. But
Hmm.
I think by the end of the match, those opinions will change because
Sure.
Akira Kwan just needs the opportunity, and he can show you what he's got, and it's going to happen this Saturday.
Right. Is this championship? This match currently is not sanctioned for a championship, right? Or
That's my understanding at this point. Yeah, and
okay.
again, anything could change, and with Cesar
Hmm.
Duran, swearing revenge and retribution, but that title physically is in the possession of Akira Kwan, but it's not his to defend. He has not won it,
Right.
so it's in a bit of a abeyance right now. So I hope there's a ruling to set that straight, and I know Mystico or Templario would love to do the prideful thing and physically take it back themselves. But
Right.
time will tell if that can happen because Contra don't travel alone.
For sure. And there's Cesar Duran himself is kind of like when he comes out, he commands a presence, and especially with the Cicero Stadium. They do not care for him. They do not, they don't fall easily into his ploys. So how do you feel that relationship will continue?
Cesar's a businessman, and Cesar makes decisions based on lining his pockets. He makes decisions based on what a promoter would think is best, and sometimes those decisions are beneficial to the fans. Sometimes he wants to make them wait. So there's really no telling what you're going to get, and that's every successful promoter from Cesar Duran to Dana White to Don King to Toots Mondt back in the
Hmm.
day. I mean, promoters think about their bottom line. They think about making money. So um, I don't know. I don't think Cesar has any hate for Chicago. I don't think he has any agenda or vendetta against Chicago. But I think Cesar Duran is going to give you a hell of a show, a hell of an event, a hell of a card. Um, and he may not make the most popular decisions.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is Chicago's passionate enough where they love it, they hate it, they're going to let you know. And
Yes.
either way, I'm going to be loving it ringside because I'm feeding off of that energy.
For sure, and I mean, Chicago always brings it for every major wrestling event, and it doesn't get bigger than MLW. These are the matches currently listed. I know there'll be some additional matches announced, maybe tomorrow or Friday.
Well, I mean, the cool thing is too is that everybody who attends live, and we are sold out. So
Hmm.
unless they release extra production hold seats, there's no way to get in. But anybody that's going to be there live, you're going to see matches taped for television as well.
Yes.
There's going to be a television special, I believe, June 7th on BN Sports and also on YouTube. So you're going to get a whole lot more cool stuff that you're going to be able to see featuring the rest of the MLW roster. Speaking of, the rest of Contra, speaking of the Featherweight, speaking of the Rogue Horsemen, speaking of the Bumaye Fight Club, speaking of Matthew Justice, speaking of Paul London, speaking of,
Right.
and so many of these guys have been down in Mexico killing it. And, you know, which I'm sure is only going to make them more endeared to the Lucha Libre fans that are their lives. So if you are fortunate enough to be there at Cicero Stadium this Saturday, you will get more than your money's worth, guaranteed. And if you can't be there, it's all good because you're going to see what you missed coming up on June 7th.
Yes, and MLW definitely delivers. It's so refreshing to have a product that is, that just caters to that audience and that loves wrestling from all over the world. And I really love how the presentation's done. It feels like a combat sport. Kudos to you and your broadcasting colleague. I know you've recently teamed up with a couple different broadcasters there, right?
Yeah, and I think the presentation is so important. We always say styles make fights, and um, when you have a melting pot like MLW that borrows from every different style and the lucha style and the Japanese strong style and the catch style and the Americanized style and the hybrid style and the high flying and the power guys. Um, that makes for so much of an interesting dynamic, and it almost makes me think back to the very early UFC, which was all
Mm-hmm.
built on, well, what happens if a karate guy fights a sumo wrestler? What happens if a collegiate wrestler fights a street brawler? Like, what, just those questions of, what happens when Hammerstone's power meets Kojima's experience? Like, things like that are so fun to debate. And yeah, Austin Aries debuted with us as my color analyst and Battle Riot 7, and I'm looking forward to peering inside his head more and more and getting
Mm-hmm.
his breakdowns because he's a former world champion in multiple companies. He's been in this sport for over 20 years, and he's got a lot of knowledge. And his
Yes.
his breakdowns and his expertise. Not always the most likable guy in the world, but that's cool. That's wrestling for you.
Right.
But takes all kinds. But there's no doubt the mark he's made on the sport, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of analysis he'll have to offer this weekend because he'll be there on the
Yeah.
call with me.
Yeah. You guys both feed off of each other very well. I see.
Oh, thank you. We
Yeah.
do what I can, but I'll say this: any compliment that goes to me, I always say the same thing: is it's a lot easier when we're working with such a high caliber of talent in the ring
Sure.
because I don't need to try to have fun. I don't need to manufacture my excitement. I don't need to, convince myself to get interested. Like it's there. And then
Yes.
a lot of times when you hear me, I'm just reacting and I'm having fun like you guys. And that bleeds through and I think that makes the best kind of broadcast.
Definitely. Everybody needs to come check it out. We have Matt Riddle, who's known the world over, former UFC fighter, and I don't see him doing as many indies as he was last year. I'm not saying he hasn't been doing as many, so maybe he's more of an exclusive appearance now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure of what Matt wants to do. Maybe he wants to um, zero in on his big fights and maybe cut down some of the fat on the schedule. I'm not really sure about that or not. I haven't talked to him about it, but um, I think that speaks to the fact that Matt Riddle knows MLW is big business. It's a destination place. It's a place you go to get eyeballs on you and to enter the next phase of your career. And we're lucky to have him.
Definitely. And for MLW, I mean, you guys have a finger on the pulse of this thing worldwide to scout talent. You're scouting talent from all over the country in the United States and then, overseas and Japan and Mexico. It's pretty it takes a lot. It's very time consuming. I could imagine for the people in charge of recruitment.
No doubt it is, and it's a labor of love. And again, that's where some of the great partnerships come into play, where you can see who's on the rise in CMLL, or who's the next big breakout star out of Tokyo Joshi Pro, or who is making big waves down there that maybe hasn't been to America yet. There's a lot of different factors to consider, but the deeper talent pool that we sample from just goes to show that you're going to only get the best of the best who deserve to be here.
Definitely. A name I'd like to mention, and I'm sure you guys have had your eyes on him. I'm not sure if you've ever done MLW, and that would be a Ninja Mac.
Mm.
I don't know if
I
I just think he would work perfectly in MLW.
I met Ninja Mac at a seminar I was helping out with and kind of co-conducting in uh, maybe in or near Corpus Christi, it's down in Texas.
Okay.
And it's where I met Vert Vixen, I met Jasmine Allure, I met Danny Orion, I met a lot of talent that's coming out of Texas that's really doing some cool things throughout the country and in some cases internationally too. But Ninja Mac is another just freak athlete. I know he's killing it over in Noah right now. I don't know how I don't know how often he wrestles in the U.S., but I give my endorsement because he caught me off guard immediately with how unique he was, and that's
Yeah,
not just watching him in the ring. That's speaking to him. That's nothing but a compliment. So, um, I'd love to see more Ninja Mac, and whether that's in MLW or whether that's in another ring, but I'm a fan of him and I wish him well.
definitely. I had to ask because I just feel like he has that dynamic that would attract MLW.
No doubt. I think he's got a dynamic that will make you stop and take notice no matter what you're doing, whether you're scrolling social media or flipping the channels or what. But you don't forget Ninja Mac.
Yeah, when you see him or you see a guy on a pogo stick landing a splash.
Apparently, yeah, it takes all kinds. I wish I could do like one jump on a pogo stick that good. Let alone not even the move. I'll just take the pogo stick. But that
Right.
that, that part impressed me by itself.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you once again, Joe, for being on the PW Report. And make sure to check out MLW. It's sold out. Azteca Lucha. I mean, if we didn't have an argument for why you should check it out, I don't know what more we could do because it's going to be hot inside Cicero Stadium. It's sold out. Check it out on the MLW YouTube channel. And Joe, I'd like for you to give this chance to plug anything you'd like to plug. Go ahead.
Hey, you can check me out at prowrestlinglibrary.com or at joe-dombrowski.com. I have over 500 hours of VOD content for sale. I have tons of DVD releases. Some of them are over my shoulder right now. Um, I've been very blessed and very fortunate to be doing great work with a lot of old school footage, building relationships with a lot of like footage owners and producers and ex promoters. So if you're into old stuff like Andre the Giant and Harley Race and Ric Flair and the Von Erichs, um, or maybe even some newer stuff like the late '90s, early 2000s, and I have some present day stuff too. Whether you're into women's wrestling or hardcore or lucha or what, um, I guarantee you will find something that will interest you at prowrestlinglibrary.com or joe-dombrowski.com. So
For
um,
sure.
that's the best place to find me. And if you can't find me there, you can find me ringside at the matches.
Oh yeah, definitely. And do you have anything else you'd like to announce, or you just have MLW this weekend?
I will be in Toronto this Friday to do Greek Town Wrestling. They've got a big event with Jake the
Okay.
Snake Roberts and Ted DiBiase making an appearance. I think Tommy Dreamer is going to be there. So I will be pit stopping in Toronto on my way to Chicago, and I believe we'll be live on Triller in Toronto. So busy weekend for me. This is busy season
Yes,
between WrestleMania week and Squared Circle Expo in Indianapolis and the Juggalo tour, and I was back at the ECW Arena last weekend. So I'm lucky if I'm home like 3-4 days a week this past month or so, but
definitely.
good problem to have. And I leave on
Yes.
17th and 18th, I'm out of town. 20th, I leave on another 5-day tour. So, um, it's not stopping anytime soon. But I'm very thankful for the opportunities.
For sure, you're very busy, and we appreciate you again, once again, Joe Dombrowski on the PW Report. Until you have a nickname, we'll just call you Joe Dombrowski. I feel like we need to get you a nickname somehow.
Hey, you can call me whatever you want.
No?
If it's good enough, I'll trademark it.
All right, for sure. And before I let you go, I want to let you tell you have a great evening. But before I let you go, can you do me a favor and just do a quick shout out to PWE? I'll stop this recording and I'll start a new one. Is that cool? For the
Let's
Pro
do it.
Wrestling Enforcer or just PWE? All right. We just